Hi, this is needlepointers.com, and this is the second part in our Learn to Quilt series. In the first part we showed how to cut the fabrics into 5-inch squares. In this video we are going to arrange the squares the way that we would like to put them together and then start to sew them together. So for mine I'm using these 3 fabrics, and what I need to do is figure out how I want to put them together, like in what order. So we want to have 5 across and 6 down. So I can start by just alternating through the 3 different fabrics and laying them next to each other. So here I've laid out the fabrics, and I just alternated through the 3 different fabrics and kept going. So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up and down. So the next step is to start sewing the blocks together. And you usually sew them together in rows. You sew the row together first, you iron it, and then after you get all the rows together, then you sew, each row together, then you sew the rows to each other. When piecing a quilt, you almost always use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The 1/4 inch foot is made so that when you are sewing along, if you take the edge of your fabric along the edge of the foot, that is 1/4 inch from, that creates a 1/4 inch seam. So I brought the first row over, and I'm going to take each piece and I will put them together, and you can pin them together. So when you pin it, you can hold it in place. Remember not to run over your pins. When piecing, you don't have to back tack, because when you're sewing the different pieces together, you end up crossing over each other, and this keeps the pieces from coming apart, and the back tacking isn't necessary. Do remember to not run over your needle or your pins when you sew. And as you can see, I'm running the edge of the piece the same as the edge of my foot, which gives me a 1/4 inch seam. So I have those first 2 together, and I'm going to just open it up and put the next one on. I keep opening up the one, and I'm going to put the next one on until I get all the pieces in this row put together. So there, the first row is put together. I will now take this and I will iron all of the seams into the same direction. After that, I will continue with the next row and sewing them together in the same way, except the only difference will be is if I press the first row towards the right, I'm going to press the second row towards the left. So we want to alternate the direction that you press for each row. This will help the points or the corners match up when you go to sew the different rows together. Pressing your quilt blocks and your seams is important to have a nice finished quilt. As I said before, we need to press each row in the one direction and then the next row in the opposite direction. This row I'm pressing in this direction to my right, and you start from the back as you can see, and you press each seam allowance in that direction. Some people do like to press their seams open, but you would follow the directions on the quilt if it does say to press it open, but a lot of times we press them one direction or the other. I'm then going to open or turn the piece over, and I'm going to press it on the front side too, just to make sure I have it nice and flat and everything ironed down nicely. Okay, at this point I have all the rows sewn together, and you can see here this is pressed to my left and this is pressed to the right, so I alternated the pressing back and forth. I have everything pressed nice and flat. Next step will be to sew the rows together. So what I'm going to do is take the bottom 2 rows, and I'll flip the one on top of the other, as you can see, and then I will pin at each intersection, and I want to line up the seams very nicely so that they will mesh together. And in quilting we want to get our points together, so that's why we want to pin each of these. I'm matching the 2 seams together, and I'm matching the raw edge together, and I want to make sure I pin them nicely in order to make sure that when I sew it together, all the points match, or at least they're close to matching. Once again, I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew these seams together for each of the rows. When going over the seams, make sure that your seams are facing in the right direction and they're not getting caught up. Okay, so I've sewed the first 2 rows together. I'm going to open the fabric up, and then I'm going to iron the seam to one side or the other. And I'm kind of stretching the fabric so I can make sure that the seam is coming open all the way. Then I turn it over, and again I'm going to iron from the front, making sure that the seams are completely open and flat. The next step will be to add the next row onto the quilt in the same process. I'll put the next row right sides together, matching up the seams on each of the blocks, pinning, and then sewing. And again, then I will iron it just like I did this time. When you iron the rows together, you can press all the seams in the same direction just to make it consistent. So I'll be back after I get the whole quilt top together. As you can see, I have the quilt top all assembled together, all the rows are together, and I've ironed all of the seams the same direction. So the quilt top is all assembled, and this is the end of this video in the series. In the next video, I will show you how to layer the quilt with the backing and with the batting that goes in between the layers, and how to decide how to quilt the top. If you're interested in seeing more photos for this project or get supplies for this project, please click the iCard or the link in the description of this video to visit our website, needlepointers.com. By visiting our website and purchasing supplies through our links, you can help us keep making more videos. You can keep up with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel and by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or Google+. Please visit our website by clicking the iCard to find the links to follow us. Also, visit our website, needlepointers.com, to find lots of other quilting projects and tutorials.